just mic'd up with Mikie Mahtook. Got the boys in. I got Lloyd. We got J. Mitch. We got Jackie Boy.
He tried to jump up and he might have knocked it in.
Good time. Let's go. What a start to the Monday. I mean, I'm from Lafayette. My boys would come in, say,
oh, God. So me and Joe on the ground. I got Joe in a headlock. And he's sitting there. Helmet. He's punching me in the stomach, like, steady punching me.
Here, and everyone's sitting around, who here thinks Ovchinko can practice today after having 5 full beers? And he goes, Chad Jones, right? Chad's been with the team 6 minutes. For 7 minutes, right? Chad's like, no, man, I don't think Ovchinko can practice today. And I was like, I look back, I'm like, Jesus Christ, man. I fucking saw you there. You were more fucked up than me.
Be on the spirit plane had some issues, I think. She was sleep farting.
You heard her or you just thought it was her?
I sat right next to her. I smelled it.
Whoa. What was that?
Time to start the show.
Why would I have that?
You had the circus or something.
6'3", I'm waiting. Like, I don't even know what I'd be doing.
Now, when you do go to spring training, are you going to bring your chinchilla and your turtle?
My dad tell you about it?
Yeah. The SEC is, God, they hate fat people. I mean, I get crushed for that. You know what I mean? And it's like, come on, man.
Hey, just the South, bro. You got a bunch of food down here. Like they're
all fatter than him.
Players, look at Lloyd.
You know what, Lloyd?
I mean, you're looking for a recruiting coordinator, coach. I'm here.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll piss my pants right now.
No way.
We're wearing gray pants, long gray pants. He goes, I'll piss my pants right now. Hello. Good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to Mik'd Up. Today is Wednesday, July 5th. I hope everybody had an unbelievable 4th of July weekend, a safe 4th of July weekend, relatively safe. I know Lloyd's back here alive, which is great. We had a little bit of a hiatus. We had a huge month of June, obviously. We were traveling a lot, went to Omaha. They had the big run for LSU, the national championship. A lot of moving parts, a lot of energy exerted, and a lot of positive feedback from everybody that we have. All of our clubbies, all of our teammates, all the people that have enjoyed our show. 4th of July weekend was a time for all of us to kind of reset and regroup. So we took Friday off, and obviously we took the Monday off before July 4th. I feel good and rested. Lloyd seems like he feels good and rested.
I am.
Jared Mitchell feels good, not so much rested.
But good.
He feels good, Coach. He got in early this morning because he's dedicated to the show, and he was showing up to the show on time, actually early today. Jay, how was your weekend, man?
We had a great weekend.
It looks like you had a good weekend.
Yeah, we had a good weekend. I just I
Found
decided. So we took a trip out to Tampa, St. Pete.
There you go.
Enjoyed the beach a little bit. Enjoyed some friends a little bit. May have or may not have watched a former Tiger this weekend.
There you go. I would have lost my bet.
Yeah.
I would have taken the +250.
I'm actually very surprised, under the circumstances of what it was, that he even answered. It's actually pretty funny.
Yeah.
I'll give that story later.
Okay.
But it was good. And on our way back, there was only 2 flights that were nonstop coming back here today. One of them got...
So there are good times.
One of them got in at 5, which sounded great, and then I realized, hey, it's on a Wednesday. It's probably not a good idea. It's kind of be tough to make it here by 6. So I took the alternative option and decided to fly into New Orleans and then drive back to Baton Rouge, and was trying to take a nap at 7:30 this morning. That's what time I ended up. So if you get an idea, yeah, my flight was at 5:40 a.m. Eastern
Did y'all
time.
do anything the night before?
You know, one would say
You went home, went to bed early, I'd imagine.
one would
right?
say I didn't exactly get my 8 hours in.
Okay.
But
Well, look,
I'm here, baby.
You are here and you're ready to go, and I appreciate that. I'm excited for that. We have a big show. Listen, we talked about this show is not just a baseball show. We are going to continue to progress towards the other sports. Right now, it's kind of a dead period. It is baseball, still baseball season. The All-Star break starts this Sunday. The Major League Baseball draft also starts this Sunday. So we have another baseball show for you, baseball heavy show. We're going to preview the draft a little bit, talk about the LSU guys who we expect to get drafted, who could get drafted. And to help us with that conversation, Mike Rooney from D1 Baseball is going to join us at 6:15. We're running through these Heineken headlines really quick for you, but Mike Rooney has been on the show before. He covers college baseball for D1 Baseball, but he also does some stuff for ESPN, and he has a pretty good grasp on the landscape of baseball, whether it be professional or college baseball. Great guy, understands the show, great personality. And so we're excited to have these conversations with him. Jay Johnson is the American Baseball Coaches Association National Coach of the Year. The awards just continue to roll in for him. He is also going to make his TV debut, national TV debut on Sunday as a panel, as a guy that's on the panel for the draft. He is going to talk about presumably a bunch of LSU guys who are going to get drafted hopefully that first day. First and second round, I believe, is the first day, or is it just the first and supplemental rounds? Not 100% positive. I'll find that out for you. But he is going to be there on Sunday at 6 p.m. for the draft. And, he'll have the number 1 and number 2 picks, hopefully, are guys he's coached. And he'll be able to give a lot of insight on them and on what those teams can expect from them. As we mentioned, it was 4th of July yesterday. And every time the 4th of July happens, we would be remiss not to talk about the legend that is Joey Jaws Chestnut, right? Which I have not in my life. This is not me saying this. In my lifetime, I have never watched the hot dog eating contest for a couple of reasons. The one reason being I'm going to throw up every single time I watch it. I cannot watch the buns being dipped in water and shoved. I just can't do it. Can't do it, right? But the hot dog eating contest, Nathan's hot dog eating contest, was in a rain delay. So
Which seems like it would have helped the buns.
Right, well, that's even grosser. But
Speed that process up.
Joey Chestnut being the guy that he is and being the true American that he is.
Somebody please put the camera
don't
on
ever
Lloyd.
do that again.
Two at a time.
Someone
Please
please
don't
put the camera
ever
on
do that
Lloyd.
again,
The camera
please.
on Lloyd.
Not in my presence. Joey Chestnut being the guy that he is and being the American that he is and being the champion that he is. He fought for all of those that wanted to see him take home his 16th title.
Take down, what was it,
62.
62.
62 glizzies is what he took down.
In 10 minutes?
In
10
10 minutes.
minutes.
His record, I think, is what, 78 or something?
76.
76. He had won it again. He said that he had some room left over in his stomach, so he's going to celebrate with some beers.
Here's a question. Can I just throw this question out there real quick?
Uh-huh.
Do you think he throws that up or you think he tries to
Throws
dive?
it up.
Okay. But how? Because I'm pretty sure you don't have gag reflexes, right?
What? I don't know. Does he not?
I mean, you take down 62 glizzies in 10 minutes. There can't be much of a gag
What if
reflex.
he? What if he didn't even have to chew? Just
Okay.
That's a good question.
It is
See?
a good-
That is a great
See?
question that makes you want to throw up.
there's a chance somebody could have seen him. You know, if you come out there with the no GR.
I don't think your body would be able to digest that.
I don't know. The game has changed. With you see people drink beers the way they do. Obviously not.
Yeah,
me.
but beer's liquid. This is a solid food, just going without. You can't just eat it without chewing it.
I heard
It
stats
doesn't-
are that
doesn't
our
work.
body can only digest one hot dog a month.
Oh, you heard that stat, huh?
That's what the
If that's
what the experts say.
If that's a real stat, but if that's not just a Shades J stat,
No, that's what
just
the
a real
experts
stat,
say.
Then
That's
he
what I
definitely
heard.
throws it up.
The Mel Kiper of the hot dog eating contest.
That's it.
What the word? That's what I heard.
If that's the case,
Experts say.
But
His BPM would be much slower.
yeah,
Yes.
he's in great shape for being a competitive eater.
Yes.
But that's his thing. He trains hard. Have you seen his jowls? That's from doing jaw exercises. So
Good.
he can
I'm
chew
glad.
faster.
It's great.
Chew
It's just,
harder.
it still makes me want to throw up every single
Yeah,
time.
that ain't it.
Do you know what they
I'll
call
watch
the
it.
front row in the hot dog eating contest?
Oh, what is it?
The splash zone, because you
That's
can get buns
so gross.
and
That
water
is-
on you.
Okay. I wanted to bring that up because that is an American tradition of the last, however many years they've done it. But it's disgusting, and it makes me want to throw up just thinking about that, what you just said. The last
It's analytics.
Heineken headline we have is we're gonna, like I said, football. LSU football, right around the corner. We were just having a conversation here about figuring out where I'm gonna stay, where we're gonna stay, maybe potentially depending on who's all going to the first game of the season in Orlando. It's Labor Day weekend. I would love to go there and watch the game because you have an extra day on that Monday and the game's on Sunday, and I think it'd be a really fun thing to do. Maybe go to Disney World one of those days.
Have you ever been to Disney?
Wow, you probably should go. Adult Disney World is awesome. Epcot, all of that. It's great. But LSU football has the fifth best odds to win the national championship. Number one is Georgia at plus 220, Alabama at plus 600, Ohio State at plus 700, Michigan at plus 900, and LSU at plus 1,200. So it sounds like the two big super conferences that are the big powerhouses are still the two big powerhouses.
So we're still putting eggs in that Michigan basket, huh?
Yep.
That's still a thing.
It's tough. I know. They have the quarterbacks coming back. They
JJ
have
McCarthy.
The running backs coming back, isn't he?
I mean, I'll catch up with Michigan football here in a
But
little bit.
they're going to do the whole Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh.
Jim
Harbaugh.
He's gotten
not
better
John.
than us.
Jim Harbaugh is going to wear his cleats on the sideline, the ground and pound, the whole deal, and they're going to win the games that they need to win. They're probably going to go 11-1, and they're going to go to the playoff, and they're not going to be able to do what they did against the other teams, and they're probably going to lose. Now, I don't know if that's true, if that's going to happen, but that's what's happened in the past.
Pretty good history on that.
It's been a pretty strong recipe there.
Right. But LSU's fifth best odds. This is a lot of hype, probably the most hype they've had since the national championship season coming in. I'm excited for it. We're going to have a lot of football content moving forward. You may see a new look type of show as we continue to progress over these next few weeks.
No pressure.
Maybe at the beginning of August is probably the timeline. I don't know the exact dates, but the beginning of August, you may see Mik'd Up in a different light. It'll still be the same show, just maybe in a different location. TBD. But we're excited. It's all really good stuff. And yeah, so before we really shift gears into the other sports conversations over the course of the next couple weeks, 3 weeks, because the SEC coaches, or SEC Media Day is in 2 weeks, I believe. And so that'll kind of be like our kickoff into, all right, let's start talking football. We're going to have a lot of football guys in studio
You heard
the
it.
course of the year.
You heard it
A
here
lot.
first.
I love them. We're going to have breakdowns. We're going to do a lot of the same content that we gave you in baseball. We're also going to give you in football. Obviously, Jared was a top 100 recruit that he did not know about. He did not know he was a top 100 recruit coming out of high school. So he played football here at LSU, won a national championship here at LSU. We have a lot of friends that have played here and in the NFL that are excited to come on the show and break down football with us throughout the course of the year. So when football season starts to get a little closer,
Some would say we know a little bit of football.
we know a little bit of football.
a little bit past
Believe it or not, I know what I'm talking about on the gridiron.
a little bit past the armchair quarterback.
Yeah, a little bit.
We need to let out your tapes from high school.
Yeah,
Nobody gets under center better than you.
If you can, yeah. Well, my center was 5'10".
Well, let's
so-
be honest. If you got tapes that's predated past 2015, it looks like it's from
Yeah, it's
1937
unbelievable.
anyway.
I need to find my DVD.
Technology, unbelievable.
My DVD that I
progressed
had.
a little
that I
bit.
had to put the fake, not the fake, but I had to put the graphic on it. Like I had to print it out, put it on the DVD, send it out, make it look professional. Now everything's on Huddle, which is way easier, obviously.
Yeah.
But or it's not football season just yet.
Because.
Just yet. All-Star break is this summer. I mean, this weekend.
And then it's football season.
This Sunday, and then it's football season. But before that, we have the draft this weekend, and our next guest, who is in the On Deck Circle, ready to come on the show, is Mike Rooney from D1 Baseball. We're going to take 15, 20 seconds, get him situated, and then bring him in. You're watching Mik'd Up. We'll be back to you in 30 seconds. Dozy Place is located on 3723 Government Street. Everybody knows about their world-famous steaks and their hot tamales, but what you may not know is that they're open for lunch every day from 11 to 2. Great people, great environment.
Yeah, what's up, boys?
Fire. What's the best thing on the menu?
Good to see you. Hear you.
You need to try the burger.
All right.
Unbelievable. Best burger in town.
Best burger in town. If you're looking for lunch, 11 to 2 at Dozy Place. Again, they're located on 3723 Government Street. Give them a shot. Welcome back to Mik'd Up. We are excited to introduce our next guest, reoccurring guest, fan of the show, friend of the show, Mike Rooney from D1 Baseball. Mike, I appreciate you coming back on the show. College baseball has finally ended. Have you recovered from the College World Series? Because that's a 2-week grind right there.
Yeah, it was great seeing you guys out there. I'm thrilled to be back. I kind of felt like you guys had cleared out my locker. Like I didn't know what was going on. First time guest, not an awesome feeling, but no, you're right. Omaha is awesome in a million ways. The challenge is you kind of go to Omaha exhausted already because the postseason. Yep. It's awesome. It's like an awesome exhausted, but definitely come home. My if I'm being fully honest, my Czech liver light might have been on. A lot of social activities out there.
Yes.
Didn't do a Jello shot, thankfully though.
Well, I did enough.
We did enough for you.
Yeah, for both of you.
Thank you.
Obviously,
well done.
you saw how the LSU fans responded with that. It was, you challenge them, they follow through with a vengeance. And me and you had the pleasure of having a few drinks with you in the bar at the hotel and
Hilton Bar.
Yes,
never be the same.
That would never be the same, right? We had some good conversations. What I noticed, obviously, throughout the World Series, and before we get to the draft, I want to kind of recap it a little bit. The games seemed like up until the last 2 games of the thing, which is crazy because both those teams felt like they're two of the best teams in the country, if not the 2 best teams in the country. But until those 2 games, every game was super tight. It was 1-run games. Mm-hmm. Every game was in the balance in the 8th, 7th, 8th, 9th inning. And those last 2 games were kind of anomalies. And I thought to me that was the most impressive thing of Omaha. I thought every game showed the depth of college baseball. It showed the parity of college baseball. It showed the talent that is in college baseball. Did you kind of get that feeling throughout the course of the World Series?
Yeah, totally. Like I think I said this to somebody where if you had let me have like a remote control and say, okay, Runes, you're picking Omaha this year. They're not earning their way in. Like you get to pick the 8 teams. I don't think I would have been that greedy to pick those 8 teams, right? Like it was unbelievable, all the elite teams, and then you throw in an Oral Roberts, who was a great story, and they were very, very good. All the star caliber players, and then, like the games backed it up, and, like the Skenes Louder game, one of the most hyped up college baseball games I can remember in at least 10 years. And it was unreal. The game was better than you thought it could be. So, I was a little disappointed at the way the field played with the wind howling in. But the truth is, when the wind was howling in at the hitters, that's when we had the best games. So, yeah, it was remarkable. I can't, the ratings would show you that too. I mean, you guys probably saw the final game, 3.6 million viewers, which is, unprecedented for college baseball. Softball also had great ratings, but our ratings doubled softballs for the final game. And that's not me taking a shot at softball. Like they're killing it. And then we kind of even went above and beyond that. So anyway, yeah, just what you said, Mikey's spot on. It was amazing.
Mike, you mentioned the Skenes and Louder game, and I think each and every year in and year out, there's a high chance that you'll be kind of blessed with the opportunity to watch, no matter the age, just 2 absolute superstars, whether they're hitters and or pitchers or wherever it is, kind of go at each other. But as we keep moving away from the COVID years, and then now you're going back to where we have a lot of older, experienced, more at-bats, more innings guys in the game. Do you expect to see the level of college baseball to kind of stay where it is, or do you expect it to kind of take a step back when we have a little bit of a younger game going forward?
Mitch, I think I don't know what to expect. Like there are teams that have done great with grad transfers and, like these 5th and 6th year players. I think about Boston College had a very old team this year. That is a real thing. Like what's this going to look like when those kids start to filter out of the system? Not every player is going to have a 5th year available. Some kids play every day as a freshman. But I would say this. I just think Major League Baseball is driving more and more talented kids to college baseball, and I think that's going to continue. I had this conversation with somebody today where if you look at the shortstops on the college side this year, guys like Jacob Gonzalez, Jacob Wilson, the kid Matt Shaw from Maryland. I mean, these kids are going to be top 20 picks, and that's a lot of money. And I look at there's like 12 high school shortstops that are going to be like top 50 picks. And those kids are infinitely better athletes than Gonzalez, Wilson, and Shaw, no offense. So it's like, why wouldn't you go to college? I mean, You're going to be, the way this guy said it, he's like, you'd be a Porsche in a parking lot full of Tauruses. Right. And now the college kids are really skilled and they're proven and all that stuff, but it's a long way of saying, Jared, that I think the talent level will continue to rise in college baseball, but I think it's a very fair point. What's it look like when the game's not as old as it was this year?
I think you're also making a good point in a sense of not only, I guess I could say another way that the Major League game is driving players more to college to start right now is how quickly guys are being pushed ahead once they are in the Major League system or in the minor league system. Those guys, they're not spending 5 and 6 and 7 years in a minor league system, so why even waste your time going there? You might as well come spend some of your minor league time here in college, get better here, and it kind of gets you on a faster track to get to the big leagues once you get in the pro ball.
Oh, 100%. Because as you guys know, and I never played professional baseball, and I've always been on the high school coaching side and the college coaching side where I was just, my cards are on the table, right? Like, I think kids should go to college. I think the minor leagues are just incredibly difficult. Yep. And you take an 18-year-old kid and give him a bunch of money and then throw him into that pool, it's a recipe for disaster, unless your kid is Mike Trout, which is once in a generation. But all that said, it's just, Zach Neto played in the 2022 NCAA tournament in baseball, and a year later he's playing for the Angels. I mean, Ben Joyce, same thing. Like, he's pitching in midweek games for Tennessee. Now he's pitching in big league games for the Angels. So it's crazy how fast kids are moving.
Yeah. Right, and obviously the draft's not as long anymore. They had 50 rounds. Now there's only 20 rounds. You have NIL. You have a lot of the college baseball brand is growing. As you said, 3.8 whatever million viewers in the last game of the national championship game. So now you may lose some of that older veteran experience, but you're going to gain a lot of this younger talent that maybe 5-6 years ago wasn't going to come to what they weren't going to step foot on campus. And I'm a pro college guy. I know Jared's a pro college guy. We've had long conversations with Dylan Cruz and his dad about how this is the greatest experience of his life and how he values this experience here. It's just, I'm with you. I think that there's a lot of reasons, but I think it's really good for the college baseball brand.
100% agree. And, it's, again, I think we've always had a great story to tell for kids that, hey, what the signing bonus is what it is, but let's just pretend it's not a lottery ticket for now. Let's just talk about what's the best path to make you a play and stay big leaguer. Not just get to the big leagues and tell your grandkids that they can look you up on Baseball Reference. That's your career. Make the real crazy money in the big leagues. I think it's undeniable that the highest percentage route is to go through college baseball. And again, the SEC deserves a lot of credit for this. I think a lot of kids that are committed to SEC schools look at the minor leagues and say, you want me to go where when I could go to Baton Rouge and play in front of 10,000 kids or 10,000 people for 3 years? And, NIL money, as you made that point, that kind of levels the playing field just a tiny bit more. So, there's just a lot of positives on the college side.
Obviously, LSU came in this year super talented. Now, some of the guys were homegrown. They were recruited there. They were developed, and some of the guys transferred in, right? Obviously, Paul Skenes came in. Dylan Cruz came in before the year as the number one prospect in the draft. Paul Skenes was a projected first-rounder. not projected top 5 before the season started, then obviously he took his game to a different universe. Yeah. Like, was the best pitcher that I have seen. I know people continue to compare him to Garrett Cole, which I think is the best comparison, but I think right now coming out of college, he's better than Garrett Cole was in college, just with the grouping of pitches that he has. And now I could be biased, obviously, but he's super talented. With the draft on Sunday, right, LSU has a ton of guys. Paul Skenes and Dylan Cruz are ranked number 1 and 2 in D1 baseball's top 150 college rankings, right? You also have Ty Floyd at 29, which I'm so happy he's in that area because I'm a huge Ty Floyd fan. I want to get your opinion on him. You have Grant Taylor at 68, which I think if he was healthy, he'd be a lot higher. Trey Morgan, and you round that out with Trey Morgan at 73, right? For the LSU fans watching our show or that's going to watch this clip when we cut it, where can we expect these guys to be taken in the draft? Obviously, Paul Skenes and Dylan Cruz, top 5, first round. Can you see Ty Floyd maybe sneaking into the supplemental round? Like, what's the ceiling? What's the floor? Where do you see these guys being taken in the draft?
Yeah, I mean, you guys know the one caveat for the Major League Draft is that signability matters because there's 5 guys going for the top pick. It's Dylan Cruz, it's Paul Skenes, it's Wyatt Langford from Florida, and there's 2 high school kids, the Walker Jenkins kid from North Carolina and then Max Clark from Indiana. And, the Pirates might try to cut a deal with one of the high school players and then use that money to get some higher-end kids later in the draft. So that's the one wonky part of the baseball draft. But I think if you're talking about who are the best players, there's no question the 3 safest picks are Cruz, Skenes, and Langford. And I just don't know how you wouldn't take Paul Skenes. I mean, Dylan Cruz is a phenomenal player, one of the best college players I've ever seen. But Paul Skenes is a generational talent. Like for me, it's Mark Pryor, it's Steven Strasburg. Yeah. You mentioned Garrett Cole. Hey, Garrett Cole was like 18 and 17 in college, and he was dynamite. But like Paul Skenes was appointment viewing this year. Like it was crazy what he did. So, if I was the Pirates, I don't know how you live with yourself not taking Skenes 1-1. That would be my choice. Here's the thing about Ty Floyd, who you brought up. That fastball is such a special pitch. And, like the 17 strikeouts in the finals, like that was just crazy. But even in the fall, when LSU really was thinking of Ty Floyd as, I don't know, is he like our moment of truth reliever? Or is he in the rotation? This is, when Grant Taylor was still healthy, and maybe you still thought Thatcher Hurd was going to be weekend rotation from the jump. I mean, Ty Floyd's fastball, I feel like you could put that pitch in a big league game right now, and as long as hitters only got one look at it, he would totally be fine. Yeah. And he's really athletic. I think there's more there. I mean, he's like this year's Cade Horton, where I think he made a lot of money at the College World Series.
I was about to ask you that. I could see the Rays drafting him. He seems like he's a prototypical Tampa Bay Rays pitcher. A lot of ride, pitch fastball up in the zone. Here, let's tunnel that with a changeup and the breaking ball. It's just, I came up through Tampa. I saw how they like pitchers. It just feels like that's something that they would go after. But, I don't know. I think he's super talented. Jay, you got one for him?
You mentioned the top pick and how there's like 5 guys basically that's viable for that spot, right? Mm-hmm. We all talked earlier a couple weeks ago, and we are pretty much in the same boat when it comes to those the 2 that we see that should be going there. Can you explain the actual like situation behind what the economical choice would be for the Pirates to take someone outside of a Cruz and or Skenes at that top spot?
Yeah, so as I understand it, somebody could just Google the numbers, and I might even be able to Google it while I'm talking. But like the MLB has draft pools, and so each pick that you have has an allotment to it. And so what happens is, if you're the Pirates and your overall pool of money is like $16 million, I think that's what it is. It's like 16.1. Basically what happens is the first pick in the draft is also assigned a value. And so, let's say that the top pick is assigned this value, $9.7 million. I'm reading it off of Baseball America right now. So $9.7 million, like Dylan Cruz, who I think is represented by Boris, they might say, hey, like if you're taking Dylan Cruz, we're expecting 9.7. Like this kid is as good of a player as we've seen in this draft in the last however many years. If you're taking him 1-1, we're expecting the 1-1 bonus. Whereas, maybe the high school kids would say, hey, we would at 1-1, we would take $8 million. It's still a crazy amount of money. And then the Pirates, if you do that math, they have 1.7 from that pick that they could move down in the draft, and they could go to their third round pick and say, hey, I heard your price tag is $3 million. We got $3 million for you. So don't let anybody else draft you. So, all this stuff is under the table, and, it's certainly not in the spirit of the whole deal, but, that's how this draft runs. And so that's the bottom line is if you take Skenes or Cruz, their representatives would send a message to teams like, hey, if we get picked 1-1, here's what our number is. And maybe some other people would say, hey, if I slide to 5, I'm only getting $7 million. So yeah, I would take a shave at 1-1.
Because of signability, do you see like a realistic world in those top 5 where you get through pick 3 and neither one of the LSU superstars or I say either one or both of the LSU superstars are still on the board?
Well, because the Nationals are picking second, like if the Nationals are going to take Cruz or Skenes, whoever slips to them, I can't think of any scenario where the Washington Nationals would not take one of those two guys. Because the only way would be if they evaluated Wyatt Langford as maybe a little bit ahead. Like I look at Langford and Cruz as like two different flavors of ice cream. Yeah. I personally would choose Dylan Cruz, but I could see where somebody would say, hey, like I like Langford better by like the tiniest of margins. I'm taking Langford. Like I don't think that's an outrageous take. It's not the one it's not for me, but I don't think that's crazy talk necessarily. That's the only way. I don't again, like this is where if I was the Pirates, like I'm watching Skenes and I'm like, yeah, what's not to like? Like your locker room gets better the second he walks in there as a rookie, right? Yeah. It's like, the kid was at the Air Force Academy. He's throwing 1,000,000 miles an hour, and the improvements he made year over year are incredible. So I don't know, like Cruz and Skenes to me are these generational type of players where it would be tough to sleep if I passed on them.
Grant Taylor had Tommy John. Grant Taylor was supposed to be a top 20 pick in the draft, right? Tommy John is looked at now.
It's a rite of passage.
Yeah, a lot more favorably than it was looked at 15 years ago. The technology, the way doctors are able to, guys are able to recover from it, the way the surgery is performed. Where can we expect Grant Taylor to get drafted if you would have to guess? And what type of money would that give to him at, being that he is coming off injury and really hasn't had a ton of innings thrown in college, which I think could maybe benefit him in the long run.
Yeah, it's interesting, like Mikey. So I think the thing when I've talked to scouts about this, no one is scared of drafting a kid who's already had Tommy John surgery. They're not even scared of doing it in the first round. But what happens is they're gonna take the evaluation that happened before he was hurt. And I think that's the challenge for Grant Taylor is he didn't pitch 1,000,000 innings before he was hurt. I would agree with what you just said, Mikey, that you are kind of getting a fresh arm, like in some ways that's a positive thing for Grant Taylor. So I think the question becomes, what's his number? What's a signable number for Grant Taylor, and how does that mesh up with where that team evaluated him before he got hurt? He's going to be a fascinating one because coming out of the fall, people like you couldn't get someone to mention LSU without mentioning Grant Taylor's name. He was such a hot name coming out of the fall and in the fall. So he's going to be a tough one to predict, but certainly it's a first-round talent. It's just going to be a matter of the signability and the team's evaluations match up there.
There's a couple other guys I feel like, very well-known players from LSU that had big moments throughout the course of their careers, right? One of those guys is Trey Morgan. Trey, I feel like, is a very tricky prospect. I think he's extremely athletic. He has great bat-to-ball skills. He plays an unbelievable first base. He showed that he can play the outfield. Can he play center field? I don't know. I think that would help him as far as his draft prospects go. where can he realistically get taken in the draft? I don't think he's a first rounder. I don't even think he may be a second rounder. I think, to me, in my mind, maybe a third rounder is his ceiling, but I could be wrong, and I hope I am. But I just don't. I don't know what scouts think of him.
Yeah, he's a curious one too, because I think you're drafting him thinking, I'm getting a big leaguer, but I don't know how much ceiling I'm getting. And the thing I don't know is, some of these teams are so intertwined with the metrics.
Yeah.
And Trey Morgan might be one of those guys where the metrics teams look at him and say, hey, there's extreme bat to ball here, and we feel like our strength and conditioning program and maybe some player development on the hitting side can help him tap into more power, and he's always going to have the bat to ball. And we know, like, you could put him in a big league game at first base right now, and he might be better than what you're throwing out there defensively. I mean, it's crazy good defense at first base, as you know. So the third round feels probably about the right place. He could slip a little bit. That would surprise me, but I'm going to be curious about them. I think your instincts are right, though, Mikey. Third round feels about the place for him, and you just feel like you're drafting a big leaguer, and what kind of ceiling you're going to get is to be determined.
And I think people look at third round in the baseball draft like, oh, that's not elite. I'm like, well, that's the third pick of that team's draft. Like, that's still somebody that they value. Third round's very hard to get drafted in. Like, that's a very good spot.
Also, like you mentioned, he may be one of those guys that gets that over slot because of the draft pool thing. Type of thing.
Yeah.
And my next question is, with the draft only being 20 rounds, right? I think that hurts a lot of the older guys because they don't get the 25th round draft, senior draft, and get an opportunity, and maybe, hey, we're going to push you as fast as we can, see where you struggle or if you don't struggle. And, so LSU's got a few of those guys, right? A few of the guys that put up some pretty big numbers at LSU, that put up some pretty big college numbers, that are older guys that are going to be eligible for the draft. Do you see any of those guys like Beloso, Jobert, Dugas, any of those guys getting drafted? Then Jordan Thompson is another curious one I have a question for too.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing, you guys know how the draft works in baseball. Like, you always hear the old line that, hey, they really draft 3 players per year, and then it's lottery tickets and guys that are going to play around those kids for, the team's really focused on their first 3 picks. But I think any of those names, you could dream on any of them. Like Gavin Dugas is, he's turned himself into a really offensive second baseman. Like, why not take a flyer on him in the 16th round? And just like you said, Mikey, like, hey, as long as he plays good, he stays in the system. And then, Brain Jobert, like, I think he's a lot you could dream on too. Like, he looks the part, and, he's been streaky from what I've seen, but the days where he's running into balls, he looks like a guy that could play for a long time. I probably can't be objective about Jordan Thompson because I've come full circle on him. In the beginning of his career at LSU, I was pretty critical of him. And then at the end, I was like, you guys were all part of that Twitter thing. And, it's like, there's no way you don't play him in that last game. Like, there's no way. No chance. The only way he doesn't play in the final game is if somebody kidnaps Jay Johnson. That's the only scenario where he wouldn't play.
Can you imagine putting a guy off the bench for the first time all year? Hey, you're going to start in the biggest game of your life right now for the first time. Like, come on now. Like,
everyone in that dugout.
Yeah, that's just not realistic. Like, I just can't. You can't.
Yeah, great way to freak your team out.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. No doubt.
We were sitting here talking about this, and if you had a crystal ball, could you name another pick that feels more sentimental and more right than a former Air Force Academy player going to play in the nation's capital in Washington, D.C. at some point?
I mean, he instantly becomes the marketing, like...
I mean, that's marketing. Yeah. That's marketing literally just embedded into it for you.
What a great story. And you know what's really cool about that, too, is that, like every once in a while you see the people that just don't want to like Paul Skenes, that are like, wow, he left the Air Force Academy, and you're just like, whatever. You don't know whether to block those people or actually engage in the conversation. But, and then you read articles like Leah Van wrote about, and the Air Force people can't wait to talk about how great Paul Skenes was to them and, how much they're rooting for him. But, yeah, I guarantee you, Jared, if Paul Skenes is there at 2, there's no way in Hades that the Nationals don't take him. I mean, you could put that. There's no way Paul Skenes slips past number 2.
Yeah.
You talked about, people just don't do their research. You talk about Paul Skenes and people, what they say about, he left the Air Force. He had to, or he wasn't going to be able to go get drafted and pursue professional baseball. Like, he had to leave, or he was going to have to go and do his tour and do that whole thing. So for his career and what he wanted to do, I don't think he really wanted to leave, but he had to leave. And I think he was happy that he got here. Spinning away from LSU, right? Who's a guy that's in this draft that, maybe before the year started wasn't as highly touted as he's going to be now? Who made the biggest jump, whether it be, I guess college guy. What college guys made the biggest jump from the start of the year till now?
Kyle Teal of Virginia, who we all saw in Omaha, is going to be a top 10 pick. And I was really off of him coming into the year. Virginia went to Omaha his freshman year in 21, and then this year clearly. And he was an outfielder his freshman year. And then last year he caught, and it just was a mess. He's really athletic. He was almost too athletic to catch. He was kind of a spaz back there. And he was distracting umpires. He's got an incredible arm, but we were throwing it all over the place, and it was just a lot, and it affected his offense. Kyle Teal hit like 280 last year, and then this year, he played for Team USA last summer, and then this year it all came together. And when you'd watch him, he was the best player on the field a lot of times. So Kyle Teal is a guy for me. He's famous, but if you had told me he's going to go top 10 overall in January, I would have said, "Oof, I don't know, man. That he's going to have to really make some strides for that to be the case." And the truth is, he has.
Mike, I know you're time sensitive. I know you got your own podcast to do here in 19 minutes. I'm gonna let you go off after this question. Yes. LSU hired Nate Yeski as their pitching coach, right? Nate coming from A&M. He pitched, or he was a pitching coach under Jay Johnson at Arizona. What's your take on that? Do you like the hire? Do you not like the hire? Obviously, it's a good fit because they're familiar with each other. But give me your take on that, and then I'll let you go.
Yeah, I don't like the hire. I love the hire.
Okay, there we go. Love that.
Nate is unbelievable. Last time a non-SEC school won the national title, Nate Yeski was calling pitches for that team. Right. That was Oregon State. Those Oregon State teams were epic. And, Nate is a relentless recruiter. He's got old school competitiveness with new school teaching and training. And, him and Jay have worked together before. They know each other really well. I think it's a gangbusters hire. I think it really, not that I was worried about Jay, making a great hire. Clearly, he's just on a different level, the way Jay operates his entire program. But I didn't see this coming, but it makes perfect sense, and it's a home run.
Runes, I appreciate you as always. I love when you come on the show. Your insight's great. I think you understand the concept of this show. You're a personality. Look, A+ clubhouse guy. You have it on your Twitter profile. You're A++ in makeup, and I respect that, and I appreciate that. Man, enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Hopefully you had a great 4th of July, and I can't wait to have you back on.
You got it, fellas. Thanks for having me.
Yep, appreciate you.
See ya.
See ya.
He's got a great voice.
I think he was MLB The Show.
Sounds like it, doesn't it?
Is he still there? No, he's gone. I wanted to ask him, but I feel like I've heard him on MLB The Show.
Sounds
before.
like it. It's a great announcer voice. Great announcer voice.
Does,
great insight.
I think he does the Road to the Show breakdowns if you're in the minors. Not for long, obviously. Got out of that system pretty quickly. Moved on up.
He obviously, ton of insight.
Played on rookie.
Understands college baseball. I wanted to ask about the portal, but we got real deep into the draft conversation. And he said, one of the things he said, and I wish it was as easy as he said it. Sometimes if you're a third rounder, if there's money on a team has more money, and they come to this guy and they say, "Hey, we're gonna get draft you in the third round, but we're gonna give you your $3 million, so don't let another team draft you." I wish it was that easy to not let another team draft you and tell them, "Hey, don't draft me. I'm not gonna sign with you." Because at the end of the day, the team really only needs to make that decision for them. And if they want to sign you, they're going to want to draft you. They're going to draft you.
Especially when they have in mind saying, like, "Oh, we know he might get 3 here, but, man, we got 2.7. Let's see if we can get him to do it."
Right. Yeah. Or they just don't listen to anything you said and draft you anyway, a la Tampa Bay. Right? That's what they did to me.
You really forced your hand there.
They said, "Okay, that's all I needed to hear." I said, "Great." And I called my agent. "I don't think they're drafting me." "Okay, good. You did a good job." 3 picks later, drafted me. I was like, "Did you just tell me that you weren't going to draft me? How does this work?"
You should have told him, hey, fuck off.
And then I didn't want to sign, but I had to sign. I feel like I had to sign.
Oh, they had you read like a book.
No, I negotiated up I negotiated more than it was.
You got too good of a heart.
When I can get
Family
in there.
man.
No, I just need to start my professional career.
Yeah.
That's what happens. It's going to be an interesting draft, though. The fact that Ty Floyd has moved all the way up to 29th, and as far as these are just college rankings, not overall rankings in the draft. You still have high school guys. That gives me more confidence that maybe he can sneak into the supplemental round. I think he's going to be in the second round. I really do believe that. The worst case scenario, second round.
I'd say fair to say is postseason performance helped him.
Yep. Grant Taylor's another one, man. Like Grant Taylor could go.
We didn't even. I feel we owe him an apology. We didn't even mention him, but I really do think there's a high chance you don't see Garrett Edwards coming back either.
I don't think Garrett Edwards is coming back. I think he's gone.
That's what I'm saying. We failed to mention him just now, and I'm just like, that's another arm. If anybody's listening right now, they left that conversation and be like, oh, so we're safe. We'll be back here next year.
Right.
I think that chance is slim. Honestly.
And like honestly, when you talk to Mike Rooney and those guys, like it's hard for them to project guys out of the first or second round.
Yeah, of course.
Right, because they do all their research on those guys, and then hey, Garrett Edwards was hurt. He didn't throw a ton, but when he did, he looked really good, and they like his size, they like his athleticism, and someone's going to draft him. And everything I've been hearing is he is going to get drafted, and he's probably going to sign.
Yeah.
So I don't know where that is, and anything can happen. Stuff can change, but that's what I would imagine.
And like you said, as Mike kind of touched on already, this day and age, Tommy John is no longer taboo. It's almost a blessing that it's not going to happen on their time, and it's already happened.
Right.
So if you get it done right, the doctors have done well, you've rehabbed well, teams feel better about getting you after that, even if that means you can't pitch for the first couple months. Knowing that, hey, you're past that and we can get you on the field and you're good to go for the most part because of where the technology is with it now, because of how people have learned how to rehab it correctly and stay ahead of the game after you've had the surgery too. So
let's do this real quick before we move off of baseball for today, or LSU baseball. Let's predict 20 rounds in the draft. You don't have to predict but you don't have to predict the pick. Predict the round, right? You want me to go first? I'll go first. Paul Skenes first, obviously. Dylan Cruz first. I'm going to say Ty Floyd supplemental round. I'm going to say Grant Taylor second round. I'm going to say Trey Morgan third round. I'm going to say Jobert ninth round. I'm going to say Beloso.
He's got leverage.
No leverage.
He's got another year.
I mean, I would say Beloso 19th. No. I'm going to say Beloso undrafted. Right? He'll either sign undrafted free, and not because nobody drafted him. I think maybe because he made the decision he didn't want to play. And tell them, don't draft me. That's my prediction. I think Dugas going to get drafted in the 18th round. I think Jordan Thompson's going to get drafted in the 10th round. I think Garrett Edwards is a 5th rounder. And I think Milazzo comes back.
I'm going to go top five.
Are you going to pick picks?
Well, I mean.
Yeah, duh.
Yeah. Ty Floyd, I'm going to go back half of the second round.
Okay.
Grant Taylor, I'm going to go mid to back half of the second round.
Okay.
Trey Morgan, I'm going to go probably top of the third round.
Okay.
Meaning, like, man, I'm kind of surprised he's still here and no one is throwing something at him yet. Somebody that kind of falls in love and like, hey, let's do it. If we hit on it, we win. Big time.
I will say this. I think that he was another guy who helped his stock in the postseason.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
I think that before the postseason happened, and if you just looked at his regular season, I think he was a 5th rounder. 4th or 5th rounder.
Yeah, and I guess a little bit more of my reasoning for Trey is I already kind of alluded to it a little bit, but I do think that's around the spot. And it depends on some of these teams that also have multiple picks in like the first and supplemental and second round. But that's around the time where teams are like, hey, we're trying to make this and that deal. We've saved this and this in the pool. We got a guy who we have graded high. We're not exactly sure where he's going to play. We're not exactly sure what kind of strength he has, as Mike kind of said, but the guy can play. Let's throw a little bit more money at him. If we hit, we win huge here. So I do think Trey kind of goes somewhere top half, very early in the third round. Joe Bear, I'm going to go with like 7th round.
What did I say?
6th.
No.
I think you said
8th.
I think you said 8th. I'm going to go with 7th round. Beloso, I can see. I'm going to go with 15th round.
Okay.
Duga, because of age, another thing I would say probably 11th round.
Okay.
Jordan Thompson's a weird one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if someone fell in love with him, although he struggled in the postseason, and say, hey, I'll take you in the 6th. But I also wouldn't be surprised if somebody said, hey, well, we want him in the 9th. Like, just depends. Depends on what part of Jordan Thompson, depends on, if I'm being completely honest, what kind of relationship whoever these people are who draft him have with Jay.
Yeah.
Jay's been knowing Jordan since he was 15 years old, man.
Right.
If you're leaning on Jay's basically, if you're leaning on him to put his hat on Jordan and you need that, well, he's going to go higher than the next person that's not really leaning on Jay and doesn't have that great of a relationship with Jay. So I think that could play huge in where he goes as well. Garrett Edwards is a crazy one too. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw him in the 5th or 6th round.
That's what, yeah.
And Milazzo, I think, will end up being 12th, 13th round.
Wow.
But I do think he could come. I think he's going to come back.
Wow, you think he just drafted 12th, 13th round? Okay.
So,
all right. Lloyd, give me your professional.
I know. I
opinion.
feel like those are good. I don't think anybody needs to hear from me on this. I've never even watched a Major League Baseball draft, so I couldn't even tell you. I will watch this one, but because our guy Jay's going to be on the panel.
Yeah, I'll watch the first round.
I mean, if the fact that you're debating about the way that teams want to run their draft and not take Skenes or Cruz, and it's not because I'm a homer or watch them the majority of the year, but the fact that it's not like how the NFL draft is or the NBA draft, where it's these are clearly the 2 best players. Why would you not want one?
Yeah,
they're trying
to get 2 first rounders with the money.
I think that the economic scheme of Major League Baseball is still so crazy to me. Like we just got past the beginning of NBA free agency, right? And you see a guy like Herb Jones, who is 2 seasons into playing, who 2 seasons ago was a 2nd round pick, probably at the end of the roster, probably not making the team, going into his 3rd year of professional ball, is now worth $50+ million.
Well, here's the deal. I think if they don't sign him to that extension,
he's getting $100 million.
Yep. But so much more expensive after next year.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm not disagreeing with that literally at all. But my point to it is you take a guy who, in pretty much everyone's mind, like
I like the glasses look, by the way.
Yeah, we try to do a little bit.
I like the glasses look. I think that I like it. It.
Anyway, if you take a guy like Paul Skenes or something who is pretty much in everyone's mind, like he is a 1-1 type of talent. He is a generational type of talent. He is someone who you would shake no stick at saying that 15 years from now has 9 All-Star bids, right? And realistically, there is a world where Paul Skenes could not make $50 million until he's 5, 6, 7 years in the Pro Bowl.
Somebody made a good point. I forgot who made it.
Me.
It was somebody. I was reading an article.
Baseball doesn't have any money though.
If you don't draft Paul Skenes 1 overall, right? To your point, you're getting a pitcher, a top end pitcher at a severe discount because he could potentially, when it's a free agent, be worth $400 million. Yeah. The type of talent that he is. So you're gonna take a chance on passing that up. Nobody's gonna get mad at you, and nobody's gonna look at you and say, "Oh, you made the wrong decision." Yeah. If he gets hurt or does something that doesn't pan out, which I don't think that's gonna be the case, right? I think he's gonna be in the big leagues right away. If you're looking to make an impact on your big league team quicker than anything, that is the draft pick. He's going to be. I would put a lot of money on it that he is going to be the first guy from this draft class in the big leagues. Yeah. That's what I would guess.
Yeah. I listen. There's obviously been great players that come year in and year out. Like that's known, and I get it. We can sit here and say Paul didn't do it for 3 straight years, where you're like, man, wait a minute, like what are we talking about here? It was a meteoric rise from where he was a year ago, even though he was still considered probably a first rounder a year ago, right? And to do what he did this year at his size, at his weight, the I guess how fluid and how easy he did it, and being able to use multiple pitches, you just don't really see that ever in the college game.
Right.
Like, you don't, if I looked at a roster and I saw 6'6", 250, and then I knew he threw 98 to 100, you're thinking he probably sprays it all over the place and or does not have a second pitch. All right, we got a shot. Not all 4 pitches are pretty damn polished.
Right.
And he knows
Location,
exactly what he's doing with it.
Yeah.
That is so rare for college baseball, even in the SEC. And so to me, like, when you see a guy like that, like, come out and the thought process even crosses your mind to pass on it, knowing, like you said, what he can be worth in the future and what you're probably going to get him for now is just
here's
goofy to me.
Here's the other thing. There's rumors out there, which this is Boris being Boris here, that there's rumors that are being thrown out, and I'd imagine it's coming from the Boris camp, that if Dylan Cruz had the opportunity to pick between the Pirates and the Nationals, he would rather play for the Nationals, right, which is number 2 pick. And apparently Boris is throwing out some outrageous numbers, signing bonus numbers for the Pirates to say, okay,
to get him off of.
Yes, and to move on, right? Which, maybe the Pirates say, okay, we're not even going to deal with that. We're going to sign Paul Skenes at, even if Paul Skenes signs for $9 million and leaves $700K on the table from the slot, like, they're still saving a little money in that area, and you don't pass up. I don't know if Paul's going to do that. I don't think Paul's agent's not Boris either. So,
right.
At least they may be a little bit more favorable to negotiate with than Dylan. But it's a big Boris move right there.
Yeah. I think you're asking a lot out of either one of those guys to take a discount after watching what they just did in this league and on the biggest stage that they could possibly be at, besides being in big league baseball.
Right.
Like, you're asking some. That's a real bold ask for either of those guys to take a discount.
It's very Pirates.
It's gonna be a fun draft,
because then that's when you have to factor in it. Even if you're a Scott Boras, who probably obviously has ulterior motives, he's the best baseball agent, or the most lucrative baseball agent probably ever.
There you go.
I wouldn't say the best.
most fired and hired agent in baseball
of all time.
There you go.
And that doesn't sound like anything that would ever come out of Dylan Cruz's mouth. If the Pirates have any, I'm sure they have a scouting department where they've vetted him.
It doesn't sound like if it ever came out of Dylan Cruz's mouth that anyone outside of that clubhouse would ever know about it.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like to me.
So that's him, like, pushing a narrative, essentially. Yeah. And if you are Dylan Cruz or if you are Scott Boras, I don't blame you one iota, because even if you go to the Pirates organization and you get the first overall pick and they want to pay you less money, they're not going to pay you what your slotted value is or over, you're not going to be on the table for them whenever it comes for $400 million, because they don't do that.
Yeah.
So why would I waste my time here?
Well, what we also don't know is, what we also don't know is who else does Scott have that is potential first rounders and or supplemental guys and or second round guys, because he could be manipulating and making sure that he has those guys taken care of and those guys get paid as well. And being that he has so many high-end type of guys, he does have the power to kind of manipulate those spots a little bit and kind of play fiddle a little bit and kind of steer him the way he wants him to go. Just is what it is at this point.
There's probably nobody they want to see on the other end of the table less than Scott Boras. Like, this is never going to be easy.
I mean, Scott Boras had a number 1 overall pick, did not sign. You know what I mean? Like, he had a number 1 overall pick, get drafted number 1 overall, and not sign. Now, there's some issues with that because he had the physical. They didn't like the physical, so they were trying to lowball him. But did not sign. I will say this. If you get drafted 1 overall, you do get the signing bonus, which is great. Listen to me. The card deal that you sign with them, the merchandise deal you had,
hopefully you signed a Fanatics one.
Yeah.
You'd have been at that party.
You have your card deal, which is going to be very lucrative for the first overall pick, right? Like, you're going to sign all these cards, you're going to make a bunch of money, you're going to get your deal with either Nike, Under Armour, Adidas,
your sponsorship,
right? Whatever sponsorship you get, right, is going to be a big deal because you have the number 1 overall pick, like, title, right? So you make a lot more money than a lot of the guys in the draft. Now, if you're the top 10 guys all make a lot as far as the card deals, but nobody makes as much as the number 1 overall pick in baseball. And so by doing that, you are going to have a lot of money coming in outside of just your bonus. So if some guys take the discount, 1 overall, they say, oh, you're leaving money on the table. Yeah, you are. But that number 1 overall pick moniker gives you a lot more access to some of these endorsements. And I'm not saying that's the reason why you should do it or you shouldn't do it. But, look, Paul Skenes and Dylan Cruz are going to be in the big leagues. They don't care about that. They're going to have a lot of money on their card deals if they get drafted 2 or 3 overall. That's not the issue. But some of these other guys get 1 overall. Hey, we're going to take $6 million instead of $9 million. Okay, but we're also, by jumping up 15 spots or 10 spots or 7 spots, I'm going to get more money off this card deal. I'm going to get more money off having my sponsorship deal with whatever apparel company I want. So there's other benefits to it too. But the draft's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun to watch. I'm excited to watch it. There's a lot of interest. There's a lot of people that we've been very fortunate to build relationships with. The parents of these companies, of these players, of these companies.
Well, they're companies now.
Yeah, they are companies now. Parents of these players that we've been able to get to know, and so I'm pumped. Before we start moving into just talk, we're just going to talk. We're just going to have conversation about whatever we want to have conversation about. Before we do that, I want to give another special thanks to Runes, Mike Rooney, for coming on the show. That interview is brought to you by Evco Development. Evco Development is a civil construction company out of Lafayette, Louisiana. They specialize in all multifamily construction, specialize in site drainage, site utilities, earthwork, site clearing, house pads, ponds, demo work, and hurricane cleanup. If you're interested in that type of stuff and you need a job to be quoted, they'd be more than happy to assist you in that endeavor. And if you do want to get a quote, please call Tyler today at 337-534-4675. Again, the number is 337-534-4675. Tell them that Mik'd sent you, and they will be extra nice to you.
That's all we can promise.
That's all we can promise.
A guarantee.
A guarantee that they will be extra nice to you.
It's not on the box.
So
your daughter's knocked up.
It's July 5th, boys. July 5th.
Before we get into that, I think people would like y'all's take on a little bit of what you asked Runes, whether it be.
Yeah, you lead the show.
Before we get off LSU baseball, yeah,
I'm being serious.
I think with the obviously the talk about Alex Box.
Technically it's Ask Mikey and Mitch Day too.
It is. But with the renovations on Alex Box, your thoughts on that have kind of come out as to where they're going to put the bullpen, whether it be one or both, or where they're moving it. I think people would want to get your perspective on that. You talked about the players that are leaving. I think what you would see, obviously there were some tweets that came out about Jay Johnson. He's recruiting today. Came on the show this morning, hit the door, and he was full blazes out the door. He's like, I got to catch up. And so I don't know if you know of anything that he's doing in the portal and positions that he would hit considering who's leaving in the draft.
So
a couple things.
I do not know who he's targeting specifically.
But we do know you can never have enough arms.
I do know you can never have enough arms. He's already brought in a big lefty.
Yeah.
I don't know who's close and who's not, who's about to commit or who already has committed. They haven't come out yet. I do know that there's rumors that they are looking at a few different positions in the infield to fill, right? Third base is manned. That's going to be manned next year. Shortstop, I feel like is you think that you have the guy. You're not sure yet just because he has to play shortstop. If Jordan Thompson comes back, that also gives you another guy there at short. Second base is empty. First base is empty. The catching position is empty. I say empty. The catching position is unsure right now based off of the draft and who's coming back, who's not coming back.
There's a lot of bodies that could be back there too.
Center field is available, but I think that they trust Paxton Kling in that position. You have Pearson coming back, so that one of the outfield spots I would imagine is going to be occupied. The other spot's wide open. Now, with all of that being said, this is position players. I'm not even to the pitchers yet. You have a number 1 recruiting class in the country that is still enrolled at LSU. This class that came in last year was number 1 in the country. So you have these guys that Jay was obviously high on to bring here. They've gotten a year under their belt. Now they're going to get an opportunity to go out there and be the guys, right? Jared Jones, 14 home runs, freshman All-American. He's going to take a jump. You have Ethan Fry, who came in, who was supposed to – Jay said that he has potential to be the best player in the country at some point, right? He's going to go and he's going to have an opportunity to take the jump. Gavin Guidry going to have an opportunity to take the jump. So I think position player-wise, you have the depth. I think Jay wants to add some guys that are maybe a little bit more experienced in certain positions. As far as the pitching staff goes, you lose both two of your top 3 starters, right? I think Thatcher Hurd is going to be the Friday night guy. He's going to be your ace next year. You have a lot of talented freshmen on the team that didn't really pitch this year for one reason or another. And I think those guys are going to show what they're able to do. But I would imagine Jay goes out there and gets 1 or 2 more arms outside of the arms that he already has.
I think there's a possibility that he grabs more than 1 or 2 more arms, and that's also depending on what actually comes out of the freshman recruiting class. But as we know, and the reason why I mentioned it earlier is because you can never have enough pitching, right? Like you lose the 3 arms that they lost this year and still win a national championship. Well, if you don't over-recruit and you don't have a ton of arms there, what would still be left in that stable had you still lost those 3 arms? So I think if this year didn't show him that it's important, and if he didn't know it already, which that's obvious he did, that's why he did what he did, but I do think he's going to recruit heavy on arms again. Like you said, I do think it'll be interesting to see what kind of competition and or person that they can go and find to play shortstop, right? If Jordan doesn't come back, if they don't feel that Gavin will be able to handle the double duty, the dual action of it, if he just stays a PO, there's a lot of questions there as to how they're going to handle that and go forward with it. And like you said, another outfield spot. So I do think they're going to get busy, and he's shown the ability to gel a team together and go and target the right good players to fit into a system. So I do think he's going to be active in the portal again, and obviously he's going to recruit his butt off out of high school kids as well.
Here's the other thing you got to think about, right? This, I believe, is the last year of the COVID guys, right? This is the last year of the expanded rosters, of the COVID expanded rosters. I mean, I'm not 100% positive on that, but I'm pretty sure it is the last year. So they're going to go back to the normal roster size, which is also going to throw a lot of curveballs at a lot of different programs, right? Like, there's going to be a lot more guys in the portal. I mean, there's already a ton, but there's going to be a lot of guys that are going to get moved. And we're talking about depth. I'm talking about guys who are going to come here. This is not talking about guys who are going to leave, right? Obviously, Josh Stevenson already got put in the took himself out of LSU and put his name in the portal. You're going to have other opportunities. There's going to be other players that are going to end up probably moving on and doing different things. And so, you know, I don't know. I think after the draft, you're going to have a little bit more clarity on, like, okay, this guy left, this recruit's not coming, this is the spots that we are you know, light at, and then go from there. But to think that Jay's not going to go out there and do anything in the portal, like, that's just not knowing Jay.
Yeah, that would be asinine to think.
Yeah. Any other
comments on Nate Yeski?
I mean, I think it's a great hire. You know, I've obviously, you know, Mike Rooney talked about, I don't think it's a good hire. I think it's a great hire. You know, obviously his numbers at Oregon State speak for themselves. That ERA of that pitching staff when LSU beat him that year, I think was sub-2, which is outrageous. Like, doesn't happen. And then he's familiar with Jay from Arizona, and he was at A&M, and A&M the back half that season of this past year, they threw really well. I mean, you saw the way they threw in the SC tournament. And, you know, Nolan, our buddy, who is now the recruiting coordinator, had nothing but great things to say about him. So I think it's a great hire. I think Jay grabbed a guy that he's familiar with, who's familiar with him, understands what to expect. And, you know, at the end of the day, he leaves A&M, who's a great school, to come to the mecca of college baseball. It just shows you the
gravitational pull of LSU.
Yes.
Yep. And he did say that, I believe that if the timing had worked out differently, he would have been at LSU earlier. But just with the way that he left and the way that, you know, Jay didn't know where he was going, it was just a matter of timing working out. So it wasn't like this was a second choice. It was a choice of he's a man of his word. He's going to stick to his school whenever he's there.
Jay's had 3 pitching coaches. The other 2 are head coaches. It's pretty good. He's got his coaching tree now. Pretty good. Pretty good.
And so if he has aspirations, and Nate has aspirations to go to the one more step up, essentially, and be a head coach, this apparently is a place where you can do that.
No doubt.
It's not going to stop you.
No, not going to prohibit you from doing that. It's only going to enhance you.
And it opens up the portal a little bit from A&M. If they love Nate Yeski, you might see a couple of pitchers come over. I don't know who they have, but
maybe, yeah. I mean, that's a thing. You know, I don't. Usually, you don't see a player follow.
I like Jacob Berry.
Well, no, I'm talking about.
He followed a head coach.
A head coach.
Yeah.
I was gonna say you usually don't follow a position coach where they go. You know, unless. I mean, I guess unless you're like super high profile and you want it to, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to, and it's not. It's hard to follow a position coach who's going to be a position coach again, because you still don't have roster control.
Right.
Right. So if I was said arm or position player, and I'm going to go follow a position coach, and he's not going to have the roster or lineup decisions, what am I really following? As much as I may love you, as much as you may have gotten me to play where like you're still making a big leap in the sense of I don't know what my role is going to be, right? So like that's kind of where that thought process kind of goes.
Interesting. You'll see a lot of movement, I'd imagine.
A lot of movement
coming up in the transfer portal, because obviously you saw what the mixture of this LSU team had that won you a national championship when you have a mixture of the veteran guys, sprinkle in some transfer portal guys, and then you have a little bit of influx of young talent. That's the formula, right? It feels like if you can build that every time, you would bottle it up and sell it. But with what Jay has been able to recruit in his first year or second year, with like a guy like Kling, Bear Jones, Ethan Frey, if you can get a Travinsky or Milazzo to stay, then you start getting that mix back of these guys know what it takes to win a championship. These guys are next up on the list of who I think can fill the void of being, 2 first-round picks, stuff like that. Like, I don't think you're going to have another Dylan Cruz walk through that door. But if you get something
maybe
comparable to where, all right, these are the superstars, these are the guys that I can rely on.
Right.
You get that good chemistry, like, mixed back in, and that's the way that you win championships. And it feels like Jay has that kind of baked into what the program is at this point.
Right, and you're 100% right, and I think that
it just doesn't happen all that often.
No, and you're gonna have that's what
y'all had.
Well, that's the mix of everything. Like, that's the recipe for every team, whether it's college or professional baseball, right? Like, you want to have a mix of very talented young guys who are bought into what the older guys are selling them, and everybody plays the game the way the older guys are showing them, right? If you have a bunch of older guys who aren't, like, they're kind of shitheads and they don't play the game the right way and they don't embrace the young guys and they don't bring those guys on, then you're never going to have that culture to continue to just repeat itself. You're going to have a very bad locker room, a fractured locker room. And then when those older guys are gone, those younger guys become the veterans. Now all they've known is that, right? So it's a never-ending cycle. The good teams have the veterans who are really good, right? As far as like in the locker room and the way they control it. And like the veterans know that they're probably on the back half of their career, but they're still productive. So now you bring in this younger talent that is going to take you to that next level because they're fresh, they're young, they're eager, they're ready to go, and they learn from the older guys. They build that experience. As the older guys get out, and the younger guys become not so young. That's how you build a program, and that seems like what Jay's doing. And that's what all these major league teams are trying to do with this draft coming up, right? Like, hey, we need to find a guy who not only is talented but has pretty good character, good makeup. So when they come up, they can, just seamlessly just fit in. Problem is they don't have a lot of veterans like that anymore. They're weaning all the veterans out of Major League Baseball.
True.
That's why you're seeing those veterans that are young, or not young, but like getting pushed out. Now they're becoming coaches, managers. And so now that veteran presence that was on the field is now in the locker room. But I think that there should be on the field too.
Yeah. So now the manager that used to basically have full control of how things were operated daily is now being taken over by the front office.
Yes.
They're writing a lot of lineups and saying who should play and where they should play and how they should play.
Speaking of writing lineups, the Angels, bro, they can't get right, huh?
Tough.
I mean, they have 3 of the better players in baseball. All 3 hurt right now.
Tough. All back to back to back too.
You had Trout, Hamate out for a few weeks, which He's a lizard, dude. It's going to grow back in like 2 days. It's unbelievable.
4 to 6 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
They said 4 to 8. He'll be
4 to
back.
8 weeks. Who wants to bet that he comes back in 4?
If not less.
If I would say early, it might be earlier.
It's a bone, so it's a little different than like a ligament. I
It's
feel
a
like
lizard too, so it's also different than a
you're right.
than a human.
You're right. So like 4 weeks, but then you have Shohei. He's got a blister. Doesn't seem like that's gonna be a long thing, but he got pulled out. And this one's listen. Fouling a ball off your shin hurts.
Yeah.
A lot. Like a lot. But you didn't break your shin, and you're on crutches during the interview and saying, I don't know how long I'm gonna be out. Like that's a tough deal, and that's Rendon. Rendon's out too. He's been hurt since he's been in Anaheim. And so that's a tough. I like Anthony.
I like
he's
Anthony
a great
a lot.
player.
Maybe,
He's a great
I
dude.
think maybe Anthony might be just trying to get to the other side of that All-Star break, a little extended vacation.
For sure, and that's okay. 3 days, that's a week. That'd be a week off.
This week,
longer week.
We'll
A week, yeah.
Get through the rest of this week, get through the All-Star break, and kind of gives you a little time right there.
It gives you about 10 days, 8 days.
And that money's guaranteed.
Oh yeah. He's good. But and look, they're 45 and 43. They were actually having a pretty good year.
Yeah.
They
the
started
Angels.
scuffling, and so they need those guys back because the Rangers are killing it.
It couldn't be a worse time if all three of those guys were to miss extended time.
Yeah.
It couldn't be a worse time for them.
No.
And not just for this season either. Honestly, for the trajectory of that entire franchise, right?
Right.
Because let's just say if all three of these guys were to miss 10 to 15 plus games and they go on a 8-game losing streak, they're no longer going into the trade deadline. They're no longer really in it. And now do you sell? How can you sell?
Well,
what do you sell for?
The only person you can sell is Ohtani.
But my point is are you going to get your price for it now?
Right. Because you're only getting him for half a year.
Exactly. You're only getting him for half a year, and you've been lowballed because now people realize, like, hey, you don't really want to do this. You were going all in to kind of keep him here.
I guess you could trade Trout. You're not going to.
You're
But
not
I guess
going-
you
they're not
could
going
trade
to.
him because like that contract that Trout has, like I think that the value, like he's still gonna get the value.
They
of
ain't
it,
trade
but
Trout.
Can't trade Rendon.
No.
Rendon's
So-
got 200-something million in his deal, and like he's been hurt.
Couldn't be at a worse time because once again, like say you go on an 8-game losing streak over the next 15.
Your boy Adele's back in there though, Joe Adele.
Yeah, well, I mean, guy is talented, bro.
Yeah.
Just doesn't. He likes to throw the ball in the other dugout every now and then, but he's talented. But I don't know, man. It's a weird time for him because if you go on a big losing streak, you're not so far out of it that you couldn't do it again when they came back. But it's just, where are you? That's not where you want to be. It's a very hard place to be as a franchise.
Right.
Bring back Joe Maddon. Still got his mohawk. Do you know that story?
What, the Mohawk?
Yeah.
I don't know. What about it?
He shaved his head last year to be able, the year he got fired, to a mohawk to rally the team. Gets called into the office, still has the mohawk, gets the can, gets the axe, and he had to get fired with a mohawk.
I told you about my friend Bobby Wilson, right? I'm gonna get Bobby Wilson. I did tell you about that. About when he was in Minnesota and he was trying to rally the troops and he went to like a sex shop and got like this like laced clothing and he wore like a thong that said "Daddy" on it just to like make everybody laugh. And he was walking around and hit with it in the cages. And then he comes back in. They bring him in the office in Detroit and they DFA him that day, and he had to be in the office in that outfit.
That's a low point.
Tough. I'm gonna get Bobby on the show. He's the best.
Tough.
He's their bullpen coach for the Rangers. Jonah Heim is their catcher. He is an all-star for the first time.
Yeah.
And he has some of the best catching metrics in all of baseball. And Bobby is a big reason why. Bobby is probably one of the smartest baseball players I've ever met. Son of LSU, out of junior college, and he's from St. Pete. Son of LSU, but got drafted. It was when draft and follow was a thing. So he got drafted, went to junior college, and then ended up signing like way late in the draft and then made it to the big leagues and played for a little while. Great dude. But I'm going to get him on the show. But, yeah, Joe Maddon's a character. When I was playing for Tampa, I never got to play for Joe. I was in spring training with Joe for a couple years, but he made a lineup one year. 8-6-7-5-3-0-9.
Hell yeah.
They were in a slump. Like, they weren't winning. And the lineup was 8-6-7-5-3-0-9. 8 center field, 6 shortstop, 7 left field, 8-6-7-5 third base, 3 first base, 8-6-7-5-3-0-9.
Say
The DH probably as the O. 9 right fielder.
Yeah, 9 right
It's
fielder.
an American League team, so there had to be a DH.
Unless they were playing an interleague game.
I don't really think they were doing well. I mean, it could have been.
But you need a second baseman.
They played interleague games
8,
in,
6,
but
7,
like
5, 3, 0, 9. But
maybe that's what he did with the 2. Because that's the 0.
Yeah, maybe.
You still got 2 more spots.
Yeah. So he did.
I mean, Joe, we got there.
We got there.
He brought.
He also chained the. One year they were the team was playing a lot better on the road than they were at home, and he chained the clubhouse door shut, and nobody could show up to the home clubhouse until after 3 p.m. And usually,
which is about what time you show up on the road.
On the road, and usually they open it at whenever
11 o'clock,
12, whenever, and nobody could get there. They went on like a 9-game winning streak. He just used to do stuff like that.
He brought literal Cubs to the Chicago Cubs spring training.
Yeah, he did a lot. Look, Joe did a lot of good things. It was also the Joe Maddon show too.
Oh yeah,
Joe liked himself some Joe. That was it. That's okay. He won a World Series.
He did. Can't take it away.
Can't take it away. That's your team.
Was. I'm not.
One or more than one?
Just one, right?
He got.
As a manager.
Yeah.
He just won one as a manager in Chicago.
In Chicago, right?
Yeah.
Was he there with Tampa at all?
Mm-hmm.
Did he get to the World Series with Tampa?
Yep.
Yeah, with
the Price years, right?
7. Was it 7 or 8? What year did they go?
I'm not sure. But I remember him getting.
I think it was the year David Price got drafted.
Okay.
Maybe it was the next year. I don't know. Okay. One of those 2 years, 7 or 8.
Okay.
That was like the match. That's when Longo hit the home run down the line, in the ALCS.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah. Crazy. Yeah, it's all over the locker room. Hands up in the air, right over the little small wall, right around the foul pole.
Wrap that thing down.
Wrap it in there, baby.
Speaking of, you might be in trouble.
Why?
Just some of the 09 team might get erased in history now. Get some new raps on the.
No,
elevators.
that's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be on there anymore. I don't think.
I mean, it's definitely going to be the Tommy White hands up, running around the bases.
It should be.
Yeah,
that's got to be plastered somewhere, huh?
The Milazzo on the back of Skenes. A lot of memorable moments.
Well, it's gonna be. It's not. They didn't really put the memorable moments. It was just the player. So they're gonna have Paul Skenes, doing something. Maybe doing the eject sign.
Yeah.
You're gonna have they're probably gonna do the ring sign with Cruz. You're gonna have those things as some of the posters, and they should be. I mean, that's how they're still gonna have stuff from the old teams, but that they should. I'm hoping TAF keeps me on there though. I like being on the elevator. It's nice.
I like being on the elevator. It's nice.
It's his ID.
I like it. All right. So like you said, it is July 5th. It is college baseball season is over. The draft. After the draft this weekend is basically now we're going to keep you updated with all of the transfers and all that kind of stuff. And all of those things. We're still going to talk baseball, but it's time to start transitioning. Yes. Some Major League Baseball conversations. Look, if you want some baseball education, we're going to do some of that. We're also going to start getting into football. When SEC Media Day start, that's the unofficial start of football conversations, and we're gonna have them. We're gonna have a lot of them,
and we can,
and we should, and we can, and we will, and we are gonna have good ones. It's golf season too, kind of.
How about Ricky getting back?
Good for
Richard.
Ricky. How about Lil Wayne going at it?
Lil Wayne's a fan.
How about Lil Wayne? You didn't see the tweet? You did not see the tweet? Okay. I'm going to have to show you the tweet.
Well, Lil Wayne's apparently getting in the media space after ESPN had all these layoffs where, everybody and who's anybody got the axe from the media side.
I feel like I was
faces
watching... I feel like I was watching an episode of... what's the name of it?
Get Up?
The Entourage. Remember when they fired everyone and Ari was going through the office just whacking people left and right? I feel like that's what happened at ESPN that day.
Yeah, dark day to be a...
There's a couple of them. David Pollock was surprising.
What do you mean? There were... I would say of the 20 names they came out with, 15 plus were Jesus.
I know who
David
that is.
Pollock was damn, he should. I didn't. I was, and then there was one other one. Who was the other one that they got rid of?
Gene Rose was
Oh yeah, I haven't seen the whole list.
Oh, the list is.
I saw the
no. There's some
initial
huge.
list.
There's some huge names on there, like a lot.
Well, the good thing for those guys is the media world is so big right now that they're going to land on their feet. They're probably going to be in a better position in their next job. Lil Wayne's tweet for you.
Today?
Lil Wayne, Weezy F, at Lil Tunchi. Congrats to my slime, Ricky Fowler. I am, and I have been, a huge fucking fan, brother. I'm wearing orange for my slime on the 4th. I hope it pop. Get it? Question mark, exclamation point. Smiley face emoji here, emoji, and this emoji.
Shaking my head emoji.
No, Wayne's still on Twitter. That's good.
Yeah, the crying, laughing emoji, this emoji, and this emoji.
I mean, you know he runs his own account then.
Oh, no doubt.
Duh.
But Jeff Van Gundy, Max Kellerman, Cation Johnson, Susie Colbert, Steve Young, Todd McShay, Jalen Rose, Matt Hasselbeck are
these
the
are
top
huge names.
8.
Huge. I knew Kellerman was gone.
Why? Why? Time out. Why, how could you possibly say that?
Because there have been rumors about Kellerman for like a couple years about them trying to get rid of him. They got rid of him off the Stephen A. show. He started his own deal.
He had 2 shows going on. He didn't just have one. He had 2 shows
I know.
on
But
there.
the rumor of Kellerman over the last couple of years is that ESPN has been trying to get rid of him. I'm not saying I knew he was going to be fired then, but Kellerman didn't surprise me based off of the articles that I've read about him over the last couple of years. That was the reason why I thought he wasn't surprising to me. I mean, Susie Colbert was an OG.
She's been there for, I think, 39 years.
That whole Monday night football crew is almost gone, except for Booger.
Stop. You stop.
Booger's still there.
You stop.
Booger's still there.
Booger's still there.
It's our homeboy, man. You don't do that.
I like Booger. I'm not saying he should go. I'm just saying he's still there. Susie Colbert was there, gone. Steve Young, gone.
I feel like
whoever else was doing
Hasselbeck.
I feel like
Gone.
Jalen Rose
He
was a
didn't do
staple in the NBA crew, and he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like there were some big names.
Yeah. I felt like, Van Gundy was the one that surprised me.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Van Gundy getting fired blew my mind because he was great.
Was it Jeff, Mark Jackson, and Breen?
Yep. And they kept Mark Jackson and Breen.
Right.
Got rid of Jeff Van
I felt
Gundy.
like those 3 were really good together.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. That was the other
It
one that I
almost
thought
seems like the
surprised me.
people who didn't have a strong digital internet media, I won't say channel, but like stream or whatever you want to call it, were kind of the ones that kind of got pushed and weeded out, as if like they're saying we need more content and more of a presence in that space of it.
Yeah. Jalen Rose did have a good podcast, though.
Yeah, he does.
Well, you know,
But
you know he's
but
gonna
we're talking
fill all
about
of these voids.
But we're talking
Well-
about in the space of 20 of them. You're
Right.
like, it seems like that was a common underlying tone
And that's
of
the
it.
other conversation. People think that because they hired McAfee, that was the reason why they did it. That's not the reason. Like,
I won't say it's the reason, but
It's
I
not,
won't,
but
I
like,
won't say it didn't hurt.
he's gonna take a
didn't
lot.
assist in it. Yeah,
Right. It didn't help them.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the reason that all of them got removed. Because listen, they removed a lot of the guys from different sports that McAfee is not a part of.
Right.
I was just talking about the digital presence. They obviously want to go younger. They want
For
to
sure.
capture a different demographic, and I think they're like I said, they were talking about bringing like Wayne on First Take a lot. You obviously saw what happened with like JJ Redick. He's probably going to be in the fold a lot more.
JJ's great though. JJ has earned a bigger role in whatever it is. I just think JJ Redick is better, not better. But I guess ESPN's trying to change that. But I think that he fits a way different thing than just that box of ESPN.
Yeah, I mean, he's the only guy that doesn't get what they're doing on First Take, which is hilarious. He's like, we're not actually having these takes. It's just for people to argue. And he's like, no, I'm bringing facts. And it makes everybody look dumb.
Right.
And people are like, I love JJ because I cut through the bullshit.
Yeah.
But the whole First Take thing is just a shtick. Like, nobody believes what they're saying on that show.
No, it's gotten better. It's gotten better since Stephen A. or since Skip
I think
Bayless
it's a
left.
lot better than what than
Me too.
the way he talks about
Stephen A. I think Stephen A. actually now has his own takes.
Yeah.
I think when Skip Bayless and Stephen A. were doing it
Yeah.
together,
it was the
the
protagonist antagonist.
Yeah. But I think now Stephen A.'s deal. It's his show. He runs it. I think he has his own takes now, and like that's what he actually believes in, and so it makes it. I like it a lot better than I used to like it.
And he's starting his own digital media company, too.
Well, I mean, yeah. He's Stephen A.'s doing it.
He's making enough money already anyway.
Yeah, Stephen A.'s doing it.
That's your update on people getting hired and fired right before the weekend.
We're available. Anyone want to hire us?
I'm available.
Hit my line,
Hit
slime.
me up. No agent. Straight to me, baby.
Hit my direct one.
Get that deal done.
We're hiring too.
Hey,
Maybe.
We're all in growth, you know.
We are in growth.
have you seen the 2023 MLB Home Run Derby participants? Happens July 10th.
Yeah, it's Okay, actually,
Robert Jr.
Robert is one of the last. And you know what his nickname is? It is awesome. La Pantera. You know what that means?
Isn't that a band?
No, the Panther. Sick nickname, I feel like. He's a big motherfucker. Like, he's a big dude.
Where did the Sox keep finding these guys?
And he's from Cuba.
Oh, they got a direct
Is
line.
he Cuban or is he Dominican?
He's Cuban.
Okay.
And they call him the La Pantera. I was like, what does that mean? They say it means it's the Panther. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of cool because he's just super athletic. I was like, that's a pretty sick nickname. Pretty cool nickname.
La Pantera.
And it sounds cooler because it's in Spanish. You know what I mean? Cool nickname. He's in it. Who else is in it? The guy who won it last year.
I think Vladdy's in it again, isn't he?
Vladdy's in it. Julio Rodriguez is in it.
Nick Madrigal's in it. I'm just
Yeah.
Pew, pew, pew. That was a stray right there. He didn't
Stephen
deserve that.
Kwan's in it.
He didn't deserve that.
That's Madrigal. He's better than Madrigal, though, I think.
It is La Pantera. Pete Alonso. The polar bear versus the Panther.
Big Pete.
Adley Rushman, Julio Rodriguez.
Adley's in it.
Yeah. And he's only got like 12, too.
Adley's not a big home run hitter. He's a great hitter. Great hitter.
Hey, people love his swing.
Yeah.
This is a very smooth swing.
Hey, unbelievable dude. Like, very, very... He's a professional. Like, and he's young, but he's a good dude. Keep going.
Julio Rodriguez.
Yep.
Ooh.
Yeah, he won it last year, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe so.
I would love to see the Garcia dude hit. I feel like he's a good
He had a
BP
great
guy.
year 2 years ago, bad year last year.
But I feel like he's a good BP guy. Like, if he wants if he wants to put on a show, he'll put on a show.
Mookie Betts.
Mookie, huh?
Ooh,
Where's this one at?
Seattle.
Seattle. Okay. Big part.
Yeah, ball
Julio-
go, though.
Not at Safeco.
Yeah, not at Safeco. Not at Safeco.
So Julio, obviously the fan favorite, returning champ, and gets to play at home. Randy Ozarena, probably a huge BP guy.
Wow,
and,
Randy Rosarena's in it.
And Vlad Jr., the small impaler. Mini impaler. There's another Guerrero that looks more like Vlad than anybody, but we don't talk about that.
He's not playing. They were trying to get De La Cruz in there, but can't get him in there.
Why not?
Because he hadn't been playing long enough.
Yeah.
That would have been electric.
You think? Do you want a skills competition in Major League Baseball?
Yeah, I wish they'd do it, honestly.
What are the
truthfully.
skills?
Just like
Throw it hard from the outfield?
see if you
No,
can
not throw it hard. Like, literally.
it, like,
let's
throw it in the trash
just
can
throw this
before-
thing in the trash
back
can.
to back to back.
Yeah.
national champion.
Oh, you know what you-
Same thing
Yeah.
same thing with the catcher behind the plate. Like, literally show like, hey, these dudes are elite at what they do.
Like, not just throwing guys down, but like, hey, I want you to get up and I want you to pinpoint where this ball's
You
gonna
do
go.
the old school like NFL skills Pro Bowl champion where you paint the ball, put it on the target, see where it hits.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like that kind of
I would
stuff.
watch
Take those.
that.
You take the handful of fast guys, and we go home. We go first to home and score.
Yeah, now I know people aren't gonna want to do that because like they don't want to get hurt. But
A handful of fast guys will do
yeah,
it.
right.
They'll do it. You're not going to get 10 people to do it, but a handful of fast guys will do it.
Right, like
Get you a new contract. Hamilton.
Billy's always gonna find his way in the big leagues until he can't run anymore. It's unbelievable.
Exactly. There's ways.
There's ways. I mean, I don't know what other skill things you would have, but obviously the home run derby. I mean, you don't want to bunt. Like, that's not gonna be fun.
No, they do that and then.
But like, have like, okay, you're gonna have these guys hitting, and they have to hit at different fields. Like you have to on command. Like, all right, you gotta hit this ball right center, hit this ball left center. You gotta pull this ball down the line. You know what I mean? Like, keep it fair. You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff.
I'd
All right, hit the homer.
I'd love to see a pitcher pros versus Joes. Like get just a normal guy in the box and let somebody throw 3 pitches.
We can go with some of those guys that are the fastest hands in the middle. We can have from touch to release and feed to second base and show how like literally quick some of these dudes are. Because I don't think people understand like why so many double plays get turned in the big leagues.
Have
how quick
a
those guys are.
relay. Hit a ball in the gap. Outfitters got to get it, pick it up, hit the cutoff man. Guys got to make 2 relay throws and get the guy out at home.
Yeah.
I would still take Brendan Phillips at second. I don't even know how old he is, but
Omar Vizquel.
well, yeah, he plays short. That was gonna be my 2.
Okay.
I don't know if Brandon's the quickest. Obviously, he's quick, but he might be the silkiest. He is
Baez
smooth.
at second base.
He is smooth.
Baez at second base, probably.
I think I could strike out Delmago.
I mean, we're talking about the glove right now.
Baez is very good, obviously.
As far as hands,
I'm gonna go with Brandon just because he's got more Gold Gloves, but you're not missing with Baez.
Right.
Especially when it comes to flashing it to you. You ain't messing with that.
That's our baseball talk.
There's our baseball talk. I mean, that did get us into probably the segments here.
I have the segments. You took one of mine.
Which one?
I mean, obviously, Joey Chestnut was all over the news. The man who has deemed.
Well, we're not doing curtain calls.
Oh, you're doing mistake of the day first?
Yeah, mistake of the day is brought to you by our friends at Dozy Place.
And there's a mistake of the day, and it is brought to you by the White House. There's a reason
Well,
they
brought
call
to
it
you by Dozy Place.
brought to you by Dozy Place, doing a remote at the White House. And there's a reason they call it that, apparently. There was a dime-sized bag of cocaine found in the White House, and the more research they've done into this, it has turned out that they called the fire department, they came over, they tested, I don't know why they called them, called a bunch of people to Secret Service. Turns out they were like, oh, we'll figure out who did it. We have security cameras everywhere. It's the White House. And like, oh, the security cameras weren't turned on during this specific little jaunt into the White House. So somebody's in trouble because they knew what they were doing. They knew where the cameras were.
Here's my question.
Little party.
Does that surprise you?
No, I've never
These
heard.
people in the White House are up a long time, and they got to be like alert. Like, does that surprise you that they've done a little like?
Well,
little
no.
scanning?
I mean, it's a performance enhancer, mental cognitive. With all it doesn't surprise me at all, especially with there's one, probably 6 degrees of presidency of who you could think it is. He's been in the news lately. Has his?
You think it's him?
Oh yeah,
You think it's him?
I do.
You think it's his son?
I think it's Hunter for sure.
Wow. After all of the stuff's going on, you think he's gonna bring that in there?
Yes. Have you ever met people that have those, not that kind of...
Those demons?
No, that's not a demon. That you get used to it. Get over it. Like, it's not that big a deal.
Oh, I mean,
I'm
for
talking
those guys
about...
that can't stop is a little
well,
demonish, huh?
take a day off. It's the people that have that amount of privilege that I can never get in trouble. I never get caught. Yeah. What's the difference? Like, daddy will get me out of it.
That's pretty...
Those are heavy accusations by me.
That's very heavy accusations.
But your mistake of the day brought to you by Dozy Place.
All right.
Get a steak and chill.
That's a good one, actually.
Yeah. It's just a wild time to be...
Look at you. Get a steak. Did you come up with their new
slogan?
Catchphrase?
Yeah.
Get a steak and chill.
Get a Heineken with it?
Heineken Silvers. Hey, it's almost football season.
I'm sure they got crushed on July 4th.
Yeah, we have some, but I got more. I got plenty at the house. All right. Now, to our curtain calls. Curtain calls are brought to you by our friends at Assured Partners. Assured Partners. This one right here. And me. And me. For all your insurance needs, just give me a shout at Assured Partners.
What's the number?
I don't know.
Google it.
I have my cell phone. My cell phone's my office number, but I'm not giving
337.
that out. I'm not giving that out. Okay. Let's go down the line. What's yours?
My curtain call is going to go to a certain extraordinary human of a man. I don't even know what that means, but it's what he is.
Works. We'll go for it.
Super guy.
So, a little story about my weekend is we go down to Tampa. I am with a good friend of mine, Chris McGee, who is also a former LSU baseball player.
Friend of the show.
Frequent participant
Didn't make
of the
it
show.
to 45 today.
Insurance extraordinaire. Actually,
no, not insurance.
Literally, not insurance. Financial investment extraordinaire.
There you go.
So, we talk about the start and where he's at currently. Here you go. Anyway, Chris loves a good contest. Chris loves to visit a good contest.
Yeah, he loves competition.
Chris loves to watch a good contest. Chris realizes that one of our fellow LSU alums would be competing or would be on the team that was competing in the area. So he's like, hey, Phillies are in town to play
the
Rays. Who's on? Did we know anyone here? I was like, man, maybe we can hit up Aaron. See if Aaron will get us, tickets to the game. Mikey so graciously gives me Aaron's number. I reach out to Aaron, They're maybe in Seattle the day before, off day on Monday, game on Tuesday, which is 4th of July, right? So we're like, let's hit up Aaron. Let's see what he does. So we hit him up, and McGee had looked. I guess I'm only going to put it on him because I truthfully didn't look at it. But it's not that big of a deal, I guess. Is McGee looked up his start date and when it was the last time he started and figured, man, I think we missed him by one start. Okay, no big deal. Let's hit him up. You know how this thing usually goes. You don't really do these things until you kind of get to the field. So he responded back the next day, like afternoon on their off day. We talk again the morning of the game, kind of spotty here and there, blah, 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 blah. We show up to the game. He gets it done. We show up to the game in the top of the second while the Phillies are hitting. Bryce is at the plate. I think Bryce might have struck out of that at bat. Anyway, inning ends. Phillies go back out on defense. Guess who's starting?
Aaron Nola.
Aaron Nola's on the mound, and immediately my heart sank into my underwear because my thought was, Jesus Christ, I just blew this man up on his start day. But lo and behold, like the true pro he is, he goes out there and, like, I'm talking, twirled it. Like, nasty.
7 innings?
7 innings. Actually, I think he threw 7 shutty. Came out in the 8th, got an out, gave up a solo homer to Wander Franco. Then they pulled him finally, which he probably should have never even gone back out. I think he had 90-something through 7, and they were up 3-0. There's no real need for him to go back out, but he did. Gives up a solo, still gets the win. They didn't give up any other runs, so I think he went 7 1/3, I think, with maybe like 9 punchies, 1 run, just doing it. So my curtain call is to not for a start, but for his performance before the start and actually answering those texts. So
love that.
What a guy.
What you got?
I have a new one since obviously we went to Joey Chestnut, American hero, greatest athlete of all time, 16 championships that'll never be
16
broken.
mustard cups.
The mustard belt.
Mustard belt, that's it.
Mustard belt.
I think mustard cups are better.
Put him in the splash zone.
Yeah.
But it is to our good friend Renato in the interview we had with our other good friend, Cade Beloso, and the story that Beloso fed to the ESPN media, which turned out to not be true at all. But he said he's like, I told you I'd tag you back, Paul. So I don't know what happened before that transpired, but he tells the story to ESPN and like the pre-show breakdowns, like give me something on Skenes, give me talk about your teammates, whatever. And he's like, he goes around to everybody in the locker room and says, I work harder than you. I work harder than you. I work harder than you. They run with it on the broadcast.
And he was joking.
And Cade told them after, he's like, that, by the way, I just made up the Skenes story. Like, do with that what you want, but it's not true. And he's like, they totally ignored that part. And so Skenes has been getting shit on social media for this. Everyone's like, oh, try hard, like blow hard, of course. He's like, American man, all this stuff. He's like, it's not even true because Paul's one of the nicest guys of all time. And it just shows you the power of media and what can happen. But Cade, and it shows you more to my point and why it's my curtain call, is how comfortable that whole team is with each other, how they don't really give a shit what people say or think about them. We're just having a good time. I'll even go as far as to lie to ESPN to get a narrative out there because we're all just joking around with each other the entire time, which I thought was hilarious.
That's tough, man. That's a tough ticket for ESPN to do that.
Well, it's such a good narrative.
Yeah, I guess you're right. All right, I got 2 curtain calls. My first serious curtain call is to another LSU brethren, one of my good friends, my neighbor, Kevin Gausman. Kevin Gausman got elected to his 2nd consecutive All-Star game. He is 7-4 with a 3.04 ERA. He's got 146 strikeouts in 109 innings and a 1.13 WHIP. He's 1.9 WAR, which is wins above replacement, which means if you take him off the team, that's 2 less wins the team is supposed to have throughout the course of the season. Much deserved. They have him. I'm looking at. They have him listed at 6'2", 205. That's not right.
It's not even close.
He's at least 6'4".
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at our Twitter header.
Yeah, he's at least 6'4". But that is current call is very much deserved for him, and I'm excited to watch him.
He's put together a couple good years, huh?
Put together. I mean, signed for 110. Honestly, that's probably a bargain. He signed for $110 million in his first 2 years in Toronto All-Star game. They may get a bargain. They got him on a bargain. Unbelievable. At 110.
He's got 2 kids now, so might
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
go back to the table.
So that's my first curtain call. My second curtain
I think
call.
those kids are good.
Yeah, I think they're all right.
I think they're good.
My second curtain call
kids
is
might be
to
good.
the iPhone and how durable the iPhone is now. So I am on this weekend. I am at my family's, my in-laws' houseboat in Dularge, Louisiana, which is south of Houma.
You don't do it
on
big.
the bayou, on the water. Like that is where we're at.
Do it
So
large.
we are on the deck. We have a deck connected to the houseboat, and we're all sitting there. We're like, drinking. We're grilling, and I'm showing somebody a picture of my niece on Instagram, and I'm like showing them, like, look how cute she looks, like the whole deal.
Sounds like a hell of a party.
All of a sudden, I drop. I'm trying to move my phone to like whatever, and it hits the chair.
Must have been grilling at the same time.
Yeah. It hits the chair, and I'm probably about 5 feet from the water at a 45-degree angle. It hits the chair, and it rolls end over end in slow motion into the water. And I'm like, oh, my God. Like,
Do you have insurance on that thing?
I did, and I'm like thinking, like, okay, what am I going to do? And I didn't panic because I knew the water wasn't super deep, but like I wasn't getting in it because I can't see at the bottom of it. So my great brother-in-law, Andrew,
Whoever the drunkest
Gets-
person at the party
gets
is,
in there.
Go in to get the phone.
puts his shoes on there, and he's trying to feel for the phone. It's probably in the water for like 25 minutes. And I'm like, man,
It's been a long time.
it's been a long time.
25 minutes.
Yeah.
Like completely submerged.
Yeah, maybe 20. But it's completely submerged. Like
Well,
bottom
it
of the
used
water.
to be 3 seconds. You're
Right.
done.
So he gets in there. I'm thinking like, oh, okay. So I'm directing him where it went in. Comes up with the phone. Phone is still lit. Open the screen up exactly to the exact picture that I was. Works perfectly. No issues. What a great.
Still no issues.
Still no issues. What a great product.
Wow.
What an endorsement.
What a great product.
I did the same thing with the Apple Watch in the water this weekend too. Although I think the water did kind of get me. I think I might have a little rash or something. I don't know, man. Saltwater got me. Got me, coach.
Saltwater will get you.
Got me, coach.
That Tampa saltwater.
My favorite thing you posted this weekend was the guy dancing on the beach. And you said, "Don't even say it."
Don't you dare say that. You look like me, man.
Hey, I'm not joking. This man looked like
Hey, buddy
he
was
looked like the frame of that picture.
buddy was jacked, and he was. I don't know what level he was on, but I wasn't on that level all weekend. he didn't give a shit who was looking. Hey,
Sun's
my
bright.
man was having a good time. Well,
Good time.
Knees still work too. Let me just tell you, he was getting down.
It's good
I
times.
don't know what I would love to know what he was listening to.
I need a beach. I need to be on the beach. I need to go on the beach trip soon. All right, that's
I'm
our
going
show.
to the beach soon.
Huh?
I need to figure out those dates, but we do have family beach trip.
There you go.
Or Chicago. I can't remember which one we're doing.
Well,
2 different things.
maybe you're in Chicago when I'm there.
It'd be fun.
Yeah.
Do a show.
No, I'm not gonna have time to do a show there. All right, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching the show. We will be back again here live this Friday from 1 to 3 p.m. I will be coming in hot. My sister is having her baby the morning of the Friday morning. I'll be in New Orleans, and I'll be back here for the show.
You cutting the cord?
No. I will not be in the room. I'll just see the baby after the baby is born. Say congratulations on number 3. I'm out.
We'll go in the splash zone.
No. We appreciate all love and support. We appreciate all of our sponsors. There's one sponsor we have not given any love to, but that is last but certainly not least, our newest sponsor, probably the most stylish sponsor we got, Symbol. Just a symbol. They are a symbol. If you drive one of these things, it is a status symbol.
Just said sex symbol.
Our friends at Land Rover Peretti here in Baton Rouge. Jay, why don't you talk about them?
Ain't much to say that you didn't say already. Besides, please go and see our great friends, our newest partner. Great product, great people, and tell them we sent you to go have a great time. I promise you, you will be surprised at the range, no pun intended, that you get from them. There's a ton of stuff they have over there, man, and they are willing to work with you, and they're good people, and they're good at what they do. and the product is superior. So go on and check them out.
13934 Airline Highway in Baton Rouge.
Peretti Range.
When you get out there and you're looking for a car and you decide to buy a car, tell them you heard it from us.
Yeah.
225-756-5247. Call Land Rover.
Call. Appreciate all love and support. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you don't like watching us and you like listening to us, or you can't watch us and you like to listen to us on your drive or anywhere you get your podcasts, we took a little bit of a hiatus, a little vacation. Friday and Monday, we're back here live on Friday from 1 to 3 p.m. See you on Friday. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday.
What people don't realize is not only do you get the 2 days off, or maybe just 1 day, but then you come back to work on Wednesday.
Tough.
But now you only have Thursday, Friday left.
Yeah, short week.
Short week, both ways.
Short week.
Maybe America could learn from that. You don't have to work every day.
Before we go,
Lloyd over there pondering for
it is, but here's there has been a conversation around the country on a four-day work week. Other countries do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's my question: would you rather be off on Friday or off on Monday?
Give me Friday off.
Monday. Tuesday,
But
Wednesday,
then Tuesday
Thursday,
becomes
Friday.
Monday.
No.
Right.
Give me Friday
But
off.
Sunday's
I like
actually,
Friday off.
Give me Friday off.
But then Sunday's actually Sunday with the NFL football.
Give me
you have
Friday
to go to
off.
work on Monday.
Give me Friday
Yeah, but
off.
you're doing that anyway.
Because I feel like a Monday
You're
off.
going to work
is-
on Monday anyway right now after
Yeah.
NFL football on Sunday.
Imagine if you didn't have to.
Yeah, but imagine if your work week ended on Thursday and you have Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
I feel like a Monday off promotes a less productive workforce. I feel like a Friday off
Agree with that.
promotes, hey man, get out of here. You weren't doing shit today anyway.
Right.
Go ahead and start your
Agree with
weekend
that.
now. Come back Monday. Let's get it.
And that's what I'm thinking, because you're always going to treat.
said
just
Monday.
said the opposite.
Let me finish. Let me finish. Because if you get Monday off, you're still going to treat Friday like Friday. So now you actually get Friday and Monday off.
No. Now you're trying to work less, way less.
Yeah. Now you're literally trying to have a 3-day work week. I see what you're doing here. It's not really.
You're
getting
literally
it. Not
just
really getting
laying there. You're not doing anything.
Yeah.
Do less.
Yeah. You have to do
Now
something.
now you're not doing anything.
You have to do
You gotta do
something.
more than that.
Just pop up.
Yeah, just pop up.
Pop up.
You're doing too much.
We'll get it later.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll do it out there.
Going great.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. We'll see you again on Friday. Peace. Peace.
Peace.
Love and happiness.
Hot dogs.